Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my April wrap up where I'm going to talk about the 24 books I read for the month of April. It's actually the month I read the least this year, but it's still a lot. I don't know why I'm shaming myself this way. I read 8,154 pages, so that's a good number. And I also did Magical Readathon. I will be honest, I kind of forgot I was doing it. Not in a way that I didn't complete it, but I forgot that what I was reading was for Magical Readathon. I kind of was just reading my stuff because I didn't vlog it or anything, and I have written down like all the books for like, you know, different challenges, etc. And I did make a TBR about it, but I kind of forgot that I was reading for Magical Readathon until like I now looked at my like wrap up and I was like, oh, this was for Magical Readathon. That was what I was doing this month. But I did also read stuff outside that. But I'm gonna wrap up all the books for the Magical Readathon challenges first, and then we will go through the rest of the books. So I went to become an alchemist. There were 10 reading challenges to become an alchemist for the spring equinox. How do you say a word? And the first class I had to pass was a mental studies book under 100 pages, and for this one I did read Games We Play by Dana Isali. I don't know how to say the last name, I'm really sorry. This was a short story that basically just follows this journalist kinda, or like an interview at least. She's going to interview this faceless streamer, and then they basically let's start having sex. So that's like the whole story, and it was great. It was a fun time. It was a bit it was a bit steamy, naughty, a bit rude to each other, but I seem to like that. Yeah, it was a good time. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Like I don't know, or like 3.5, 4, something like that. I did enjoy it. I did forget to say in the beginning of the video, I had a really good reading month. I gave almost every book I read 4 stars. One book I didn't give 4 stars. It was a good month. And then the next one was the class for animal studies. It was to read a quick read, and for that I had chosen A Spark Within the Forge by Salvatore Hare. This is the second graphic novel to the Amber and Ashes series. It follows Laia and Darin before the events of the first book, and I really like getting to know the characters better. In like the setting, we don't really get to see them on as like in the first Amber and Ashes book. Everything just falls apart for them, you know, and I really did end up liking it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because I love this world, I love these characters, and I just loved it. I don't know what more you want me to say. Also, you know, we're gonna be here for ages if I'm gonna talk 100 years about each book, so you know that already. The next class was astronomy, and it was the top of your TB read list. At the time, that was, I need to find a book, there's a lot of books here. Gallant by V. Schwab, and I filmed a whole reading vlog about this with loads of more detailed thoughts than you would get here, so I will leave that link down below if you want to see that. I don't remember the name of the main character. Olivia finds out that she is like a prior and they belong to this one house called Gallant. She's called home, and then she finds out loads of secrets about the house. I don't really want to say more because like it's kind of spoilery, but yeah, she grew up like not knowing her parents, and she gets to this house, and it's kind of like really mysterious and sad, but also really beautiful, and I did end up really liking it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And the next class was alchemy, and it was to read a book featuring romance. And for that, I did read, or reread, Heartstopper, Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. Obviously, I read this in the anticipation of the TV show. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, I need to read Volume 2 again too, because the trailer covered stuff for Volume 2 as well. So this was not for the Magical Readathon, but I did read that within the month as well. And you know, it's Nick and Charlie, they become friends, they fall in love. I don't know what to tell you. It's adorable, it's cute, it's amazing. I really enjoyed it. I don't really rate graphic novels, except apparently Amber and Ashes, but like, it was a really great time. And I still have not read Volume 3, like, at all. I got it recently and I want to read it. And then I also need to read Volume 4, which I also haven't read. The next class was Inscription, and it was to read an intimidating read. And I actually chose something pretty intimidating, which was War Without End by Ken Follett. And I used a whole week on this because I also took my sweet time, because I was just like, no rush, I'm chilling. It's 1,200 pages, and it's also the sequel to the first book in the series, Pillars of the Earth. But this is set, how many years later? I think like 200 years later. Or 100 years later. Like, it's not set right after the first book. And I kind of hate this, but I really love this one. Like, I hate that I loved it because it's kind of the book that I don't want to love. Because, you know, it's kind of a lot of horrible things happens. But you can't, like, say that the book is, you know, bad because of this, because the author is fully aware that these things are bad. Bad characters get bad shit happening to them in the book. Good characters get good things. But it takes just a few years because this is literally set from like when the kids are like 12 or something to they are in their 50s, etc. It's set over many years, and there's like shit happening that has consequences many years down the line. And I just love how the author thinks out these things, and it's just so like, I was gonna say frustrating when you want something to happen so badly. And like maybe those things happen in the end, or maybe they didn't, but like how long time it takes and how well written it is, how thought through it is. It's just, I was on the ride. I was so addicted to knowing the ride for these characters, the stories, the romance, and just like them building shit. Because in the first book they built the cathedral, and here they build other stuff in the same town, and it's just like it's just like them building stuff and drama. It's so weird. It doesn't glorify, I think, the bad stuff that happens to the characters, and there's bad consequences for all the bad choices characters makes. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, women in this time didn't have a lot of opportunities, which is historically accurate, which is not always, you know, excuse to write them shit. But I really do think the author really tries to make their women in the book independent and make them have their own storylines and make them seem like, you know, they have their own minds, they have their own stuff, instead of just being, you know, secondary characters. And I think like the author does that well, at least in this one. Now I can't remember how well it did it in the first one, but I think it did it decently there too. And I think like in a lot of historical fiction books, there's just like they ignore the women in a way. I had a good time. Like I'm not gonna lie, it was such a good time. I read it slowly as well because there's a lot of text, and I really want to like immerse myself so deeply. And I gave it like 4.5 out of 5 stars because honestly, it was so good. And now I'm really excited to read like the 2 other books in the series because I know it's gonna be written like in the same style. It was really a ride. Yay! Erica's making fun of me. The next class is called Artificiary. I don't know how to say that. And it's to read a book with the Earth setting. For that, I read Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Al Cosimano. And this one follows Finlay Donovan, who is a struggling author and like, I was gonna say almost a lone mom, but like she has the kids has a dad, but it's not really reliable. She talked with her agent about like her upcoming book and doesn't really know how to do it, etc. But she talks about murder, etc. because she writes murderous books. And then this lady over here said, I think that she's an assassin for hire. So she hires her to kill her husband. And like the story develops from there. It's kind of like really hilarious. It's like definitely a comedy, but of course it's a dark theme to it. There's murder involved. The things that happened I didn't expect to happen at all. Like I thought it would be like, oh yeah, let's do this murder, and then like it unravels for there, but it's not exactly what happens. But it's also about Finlay finding security in herself, finding her voice as an author, and finding love again. She has a lot of character development as well, so it's not just about this murder thing. And I just really had a good time. It's really like easily written and it's really hilarious, so I really recommend it, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The next challenge was Restoration, a book featuring healers. And for that I read Fireman by Joe Hill, which also apparently is Stephen King's son, so that was a thing. This is kind of a apocalyptic book where we're falls apart because there's this virus coming out where people who catch it catch fire and then they explode and die. That's the thing. And then we follow this nurse called Harper. I read a synopsis and I kind of said spoilers, so I'm not gonna do that after all. We follow Harper, who is a nurse, and she's also pregnant, and then she needs to survive in this world where this virus is ravaging. And there is parts of this book where I really enjoyed the beginning because it was really like intriguing. We get to find out the survivors, what is going on, and then like she gets to this place, and then after being in this place that you know is going to go to shit, I was kind of like bored. I just wanted like to get on with the story. I felt like it could have been like, that part could have been like 50 pages short or something, because it took such a long time when you also knew what was going to happen in a way that I was just like bored. I was just like, please can we just move on, because it became kind of repetitive. She talked to this person, she talked to this person is shit. And then when it finally like stuff happened, I'm not going to spoil it, I really liked the ending and the last parts. That like left me gasping out loud. It was so good. So because of the high of the ending, I did end up giving it this 4 out of 5 stars. But at the point it was like 3 stars because I was kind of bored in the middle. But I ended up really enjoying it because it was a strong book in the end. The next class was Spell and Incantations, short stories and essays, book thingy, or one short story, etc. And for that I read Demigods Magicians by Riadathon. This is the one where Percy and Annabeth meet the Kates, you know, from the King Chronicles, and it's just 3 short stories of them interacting and then also kind of defeating this monster together. It was really cute and fun, and you know, obviously really fast-paced little book. It was just fun seeing their characters interact, and I hope we finally kind of could get more in the future. That would be fun. 4 out of 5 stars, you guessed it. Or apparently I gave it 3.5. But I don't remember. It's basically 4. Closer to 4. And then the next class was Demonology. And that was to read a book with a shadow in the title. Or like in the series title. Oh, where is the book? It's like in the bottle of a lot of other books. For that, I read Shadow and Flame by Mindy Arnett. This is the sequel to Onyx and Ivory. And I finished this duology, so that was nice. I literally cannot describe this book even though I just read it. Because I kind of also didn't remember the first book when reading this. But the first book followed Kate. And her father was like... People thought he was a traitor because they thought he killed the king. And then she has like been living kind of in exile for a long time. And then she comes back to the kingdom. And she also had a thing with like the king's son. Something like that. Oh, he tried to kill the king? I don't think the king was actually dead. There was something like that. And then in this one, we just follow the aftermath of like the first book. Because there's also these monsters going around in the world. So if you go out, there's monsters outside in the night and try to kill you. So like they struggle a lot with that. And then there's like those of different abilities. People have different powers, etc. And Kate can go into people's minds and control them. So it's kind of like a morality question of like what is right when she should use these powers, and there's definitely like something that challenged her throughout the books. But yeah, it's like a standard kind of YA. You could kind of predict everything that's gonna happen, but it still was entertaining. You kind of care for the characters in the end, and I did like the world and stuff. I thought it was interesting, but you know, it's never like fleshed out in a way that I would want it to be. But it was okay. I gave it 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. It was okay. And then the last class for Magical Readathon was Lore, and it is to read a book mythology inspired. I don't know why I said mythology like that, but it's fine. For that, I read Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard by Rick Riordan. So obviously, this is inspired by Norse mythology. And in this one, we have Magnus Chase, who's been living out in the streets for like the last 2 years because his mother died, and then he's kind of like not wanted for murder, but at least like they want to take him in because he's like 14 years old and now he's 16. Basically, that's not how to say it. It says, sometimes the only way to start a new life is to die. So yeah, he encounters Norse mythology. He finds out basically he's also, you know, a demigod. Like, you know, it's like kind of in the Percy Jackson and Kane Chronicles vibes. Not really surprising. I assume most people know this because it's been out for a few years, but I've been slow to getting it. But it was really, really fun. Enjoyed it a lot. Really fun to see the Norse mythology. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And now we're actually done with Magical Readathon. So now it's just the rest of the books I read for several reasons. So I read Beastars, Volume 12 by Paru Kirigaki. This just continues the stories of Beastars, where we started this world where beasts are kind of like, you know, intelligent, act like humans. But there's this whole conflict between the prey and the predators that has fancy names that I always forget. And we follow Legoshi, who is like a big grey wolf. He's supposed to, you know, be like really harsh and stuff, but he's actually a soft boy, and then he falls in love with his bunny, and that's how the story starts out. Now we like really far into the story, and it was just so much fun. It was like it was really dark, and I'm really sad for Legoshi in this one, but I'm very excited to continue. Then I also started Agatha Christie for the month, and I filmed a whole reading vlog doing that, so I will leave that link down below for more thoughts. So I read number 1 and 2, The Mysterious Affair of Styles, and The Murder on the Links, obviously starting with Hercule Poirot, I was gonna say my babe, but that's maybe a bit weird because he's old, but like, my precious. Here is just his first, well, he has actually sold all the things before this because I talk about it, but like his is like the first one, and then the next one, and yeah, no, he comes and solves murder, and it's really fun because we see the small details, no one understands them, and later he explains them. I like the whole explanation things in the end, and it was just like so understandable. I thought I would be too stupid to understand the different details and the way it was written. So approachable, understandable. Is that even words? I don't know. But just, I love them so much more than I thought I would, and I thought I would be too stupid to read them, so I'm just happy about it. And I give them about 4 out of 5 stars. I'm very excited to continue the rest of the 40 book series, yes. And then also read Land of the Lustrous, Volume 4 by Haruka Ichikawa. This one is just set in this world where we have people who are created by crystals, and then they can break really easily, and then we have the Lunarians that attack them and kind of want to pieces, but we don't know why or anything about why. So we're just trying to like fight the Lunarians that comes and attack them several times a day sometimes, and we're trying to figure out why. So yeah, it's really like beautiful and really weird, but it's really unique, and I'm very excited to see where the story will go. This one was also kind of sad and also weird, but like definitely questions are being asked right now. And then read A Dowry of Blood by S.G. Gibson. This one is basically for poly vampires, and it follows Constanta, who's turned into a vampire several hundred years ago. She writes now after the fact of all those several hundred years happening, where she reflects back on the relationship with her and her maker, and like not realizing but telling us how toxic and bad relationship that was, and also like other mappers are involved. As I said, it is poly, and it's really like a beautiful love story, but also really, really sad because like what they ran through for so many years, but also really gay, and it was so good. So 5 out of 5 stars, and I recommend it a lot. And I then read Heaven by Mieko Kawakami, and this one basically follows a main character who doesn't have a name, and he has a lazy eye, and he's really thoroughly, harshly bullied at school, and then he makes this like one friend in school, and they're both being bullied, and it's really sad actually. But it's like, it takes a really like interesting discussions about like, one of them is like, this is all happening for a reason. The reason we are being bullied is all happening for a reason. It will be consequences one day. While another characters are like, this is all your fault, you are making these choices. So it's like those two reflections upon each other of why this is happening. But yeah, it's a really short book, but an interesting one. And I give it, I don't know, actually 100% sure about the rating. 4 out of 5 stars, I think. And then I read Sleeping Giants by Sylvian Nuel. And this one follows the story where they find a big giant's hand underground. And it's like impossible for humans to have made this. So they start investigating this. And there's like a whole team of investigations. And it's totally like reports and interviews. And it's just like a big puzzle. I did really enjoy like finding out why and like coming to this conclusion and like puzzling this piece together. And I really like how it was written. But I feel like, I don't know why, but there's this thing where it's really like also focused on the States. And I always think like it's really like the same reaction in every kind of this kind of story, and I'm kind of like bored by it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like the same kind of reaction every time. I'm just like, it's so predictable in a way. But I really like our main character that we don't know anything about, but he's kind of a main character, no? The one interviewing everyone, the one writing all these reports. We don't know him. He's just like kind of a scary voice. I liked him. For like it made it interesting because we don't know anything about him. But like when we find out everything in the end, it kind of just went a bit boring. Like that's when all the action was supposed to be. Thank you, Erica. But I was also kind of uninterested by that point because it was just like kind of predictable how everyone reacted. And I know like it's supposed to be humanity and stuff, it makes sense, but I was also just like, this was it. But I'm curious to see like if it adds more to what I would want from this kind of story in the sequels. But I still did give it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. Yes. And I also read this for the bus Readathon, which was to have to do with size. And I also read this for 12 Friends Recommend 12 Books Challenge. Woohoo! Then I read Whisper Me a Love Song Volume 4 by Eiku Takeshima. So this one would just follow these two girls, so one of them plays in the band and then they fall in love. And here they go on their first date, and it was so cute. Thank you, Erica. And then they were super adorable and it was really cute. So yeah, I don't know how cute it will be. I assume they would go through some kind of like breakup and then they will end up back together and then the story will end. Like that's what I would assume for this kind of story, but we shall see. I then read Bunny by Mona Awad, and this one is weird. It is like kind of dark academia where we follow our one character. She takes her masters and she goes to like this workshop where there is 4 other girls, I think so, and they all like call each other Bunny. So like they kind of like in their own, I was gonna say, no, cult is a bit extreme, but they are just like, hi Bunny, how are you Bunny? It's really funny. And then they invite her to join them and they do weird shit together. That's all I can say. It's a weird ass book and I still don't really completely understand it, which I don't think you're supposed to, but it's still weird and I was confused. And I still like sitting here, what was the point? But I guess it's so not supposed to be a point. I don't even know. But yeah, I don't know even what I'm rating it, but I read it and it was an interesting experience. That's all I got to say. And then we have Neverseen by Sand Messenger. This is the 4th book in the Keeper of the Lost City series, and we already had a large show, so I'll leave that link down below if you want to see it, because I read it of course for Keep Along with Sasha and Pris. And this follows Sophie, who finds out she's an elf in the first book. Obviously can't talk much about this one, but this is the best one yet in my opinion. Like as far as we have read, this is my favorite. It was so good. It is really good at keeping back information but giving you information that you've been wanting for a really long time, and it's delivered a lot of the things we've been wanting for a long time, and it also keeps you on your toes. And I just really loved the setting in this one. It was really different from the other ones, and I'm very excited to continue and see if I like how it's going forward. The first one I given around 4 out of 5 stars. I then read The Tower of the Swallow by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the 4th Witcher book depending how you count them. I listened to the audiobook of this, and I will be honest, I struggled a bit with this one because I started the audiobook the 2nd of April. I literally finished it on the 30th of April. Usually I finish 2 audiobooks in a month, but I just couldn't get through this one. Well, I love it. Like, I love the world and the characters. They are precious, and I love, like, the story. It's just something about the way it's written, because I just said this before, where we always have a person telling the story of what happened instead of just like having it happening. And here the whole book was like that. The whole book is them in the future telling us what has happened, like the whole thing, even though like we do go like into the perspective and not like telling from like the future the whole time. It was still like a lot because we went so much back and forth, like to the present and back to the past, that I was just like, where are we right now? But it was still interesting, and I am curious to see what occurs with Anna. But also I'm like, what did this story give? Like, how did this develop everything? It was kind of just like, let's catch up of what happened with them since the last book, but we didn't really get any development kind of in the story. Almost like I'm thinking about what happened, and it was just a lot of walking around and just telling us that they walked around and like a bit of fighting and stuff. So I was just like, it was not my favorite in the series, but I still enjoyed it, of course, because I love the characters, and I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but still like not my favorite. I then read A Master of Djinn by P. Jelly Clark. This one is the Facebook's pick for April, and I also reading it for other stuff, but more on that like when those stuffs are. But it was great. It was really great. We haven't had the live show yet, so I'm not gonna like spew out everything here. But basically set in Cairo in 1912. We follow one person that works for the ministry for like supernatural stuff, because Djinn are like out, so people know magic and stuff exists, and like when there's stuff that's not supposed to happening, they send out stuff from the supernatural ministry. We follow our main character Fatma, and she's like really experienced in this job, and then this murder happens where I think 24 people died, trying to find out why. And it's just so good. It's just so good. The setting, the writing, the characters. I'm gonna talk more about this in the live, but it was just so good. I am very pleased, and I can see why it's gotten so high praise. 4 out of 5 stars, really strongly. Could go up to maybe 4.5. Very happy about it. And then for the last book I read for the month, I read Blue Flag, Volume 3 by Kaito. This one actually was really weird for me to read, because I've been trying to get Volume 3 for months, because it's been sold out, literally. I think I read Volume 2 like last year in August or something. I don't actually know. It's a long time since I read Volume 2, but it ended on a cliffhanger, and we get to solve that pretty quickly. And now we just follow these characters. It's basically where we follow 3 main characters, and all of them are in love with one of them. So it's like a kind of triangle, but not really, because stuff are happening. Yeah, that's basically the whole plot. It's cute, it's interesting, and I liking it. But yeah. Also, I have actually gotten Volume 4 already, and it's on its way. But Volume 5 is unavailable, so we shall see how that goes. That was the 24 books I read. Some I talked about more, some I talked about less, which is, you know, normal for apples, else you would all go insane together with me. Leave a rain emoji down below if you enjoyed this, because there was rain on the cover of Blue Flag. You will see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!